we left off with the train trip in Mexico. What I'd really like to hear about is how you found out your mom had been married before, and then talk about your move and living in Oceanside and what you did down there. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
So, how did you tell me this story about your mom?
Well, we had never, as a family, got into a discussion as to previous marriages or anything like that. Again, assumptions that the kids make are that naturally this is the way it was from year one, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And anyhow, we were attending a family get together, short tail relatives, so to speak. And one of the people involved, we called them aunt and uncle, even though they were probably third or fourth cousins or something to that effect. She had often expressed how much they loved our folks and so forth, especially mom. And during the course of the evening, as we just happened to be discussing it there, she says that mom, had been such a part of her life for so long and so forth, and even after she got divorced from Uncle Harold, that she still treated her like family, like immediate family and so forth. Well, it gets all complicated with the uncles and semi-uncles and third parties and everything else.
So that's the first you heard of it.
That was the first I heard of it.
It was you and your brothers, were they there? And
No,
Linda?
no, just Linda and I. We had offered to take mom and dad. This was probably after they had been married for maybe 50 to 55 years, that they were going over to somebody else's anniversary, and we offered to take them over. So we were there just as guests at another person's party. And
so who was this woman that told you?
this was the lady.
What was her name?
Her name was Barbara. Barbara and Johnny, we had considered them cousins, so to speak, for some time, but they were considerably older than us. So anyhow, they had a large family, and mom and dad had helped them periodically, clothes that we started out growing and so forth for their kids and things like that type of help. Anyhow, she had mentioned that mom had been married to her other uncle. Like I say, it gets complicated, but this was a big shock because there had never been anything ever mentioned about this individual that was part of the family, extended family, ever being married before. It turns out
This Uncle Donnie, quote unquote.
yeah, right.
Your mother's first husband.
Right. It turns out, in trying to put it all together, my mom's brother, older brother, married this lady out of the Morgan family. And so there was Wig and Gladys had a brother, and brother's name had two brothers, Lee and Harold. Anyhow, mom apparently, prior to marrying dad in 1929, I think, actually, mom had been married to Uncle Lee, Gladys's brother. So her brother married her husband's sister, and it gets, like I say, it gets very confusing. But it was amazing that after years and years and years, it comes out, and not from my parents, but she had been married before. And it was to a uncle within the family. I'm not sure if it's all part of helping people that were not citizens or what the story was, but it just seemed strange at the time.
But you never, then did you talk to your mom about it?
No.
Guys are so different than girls. I mean, you know, we would have been, well, first of all, we would have known back
Yeah.
when we were children because of questions that we asked.
I did mention it once to my foster sister after that,
Margaret.
Margaret. She was naturally a little bit older than us and knew mom and dad when we were quite small. And she was the quote unquote big sister. And apparently mom had confided in her at one time, and whether she was asking about the Morgan family or what, she says, oh yeah, I was aware of it and I knew about it, but it just, nobody ever thought it was anything worth bringing up or anything like that.
She was married to Lee Morgan.
I believe it was Lee, yes. And that was my aunt, Gladys, that was her brother.
Whose sister was Gladys? Or was Gladys a shirt tail aunt?
Well, now you got me confused.
Oh. Well, that's maybe be a good thing to write down rather than try and talk it out. So when did you move to Oceanside?
We had lived in Leona Valley, or actually Palmdale, for a number of years, and then moved to Leona Valley where the kids grew up mostly. Before we moved back to Lancaster, and that's when about that time we started the skating rink. And that was one of the main reasons why we moved back to Lancaster, because commuting from Leona Valley to Lancaster was considerable, and naturally wanted to make it all work. A friend of ours was in real estate, and she was very persuasive that it was a good idea. We had moved into Lancaster, and sometime after the skating rink finally failed, we turned around and I went back to work with the city of Lancaster, as it turns out, and then I had an opportunity to get on with the city of San Clemente. So ultimately, when I got the job in San Clemente, we went ahead and put our house up for sale in Lancaster and bought the place in Oceanside, moved down there in 1985. So we were in Lancaster from about 1978 to 1985, sometime in there, and moved down to Oceanside.
Your kids were all on their own by then.
Yeah, they were all out and on their own. Angie, by this time, was married, and she was living back in Connecticut because Jim was on a station on a submarine back in Groton. And Jill and Gary were both living up in the Morro Bay area. So we had nothing really holding us there. It was a 5-bedroom house in Lancaster. And somehow seemed like moving to the beach seemed like a good idea. And it was a pretty good job opportunity with the city of San Clemente, doing basically the same thing I had been doing with the city of Lancaster and the state water resources and highways. So anyhow, we moved to Oceanside in '85, and
Tell me some stories about Oceanside. you did some remodeling on your house. You always were a fixer, right? Builder and fixer.
Yeah, well, when we were in Lancaster, and had the skating rink, we exposed ourselves to having a hot tub. We had a hot tub put in the backyard. And that was a big old redwood hot tub, a beautiful thing. And those are the things you can't really pack up and move. So when we went into Oceanside, I found a place near where I was working, up near Dana Point, where they had fiberglass hot tubs and spas. And I went up and talked to them. And through the course of discussing it and so forth, I decided that we should probably just put together piece by piece. So I ordered out the parts and got the tub and the cooler, and anyhow built a redwood deck just outside our bedroom window. Took the windows out, made a French door there, and so we had a hot tub and a redwood deck just outside our bedroom door. Slept with the door open most of the time.
It sounds wonderful.
Well, it was. Unfortunately, there were a lot of skunks and possums in the area.
Did they ever come in?
Yes. Yeah, one evening we went in to go to bed, and Lucy at that time we had, he's a little stray rescue out of the local pound there. She started acting funny, sniffing around the bed and so on. And so as we're getting ready to go to bed, she got worse and worse, or more antsy. So I started looking around, and in fact, I was about ready to crawl into bed, and I didn't have any clothes on at all. She started going on serious, so I crawled down on my hands and knees, and lo and behold, underneath the bed behind the pedestal, there was this little possum there. It was a young one, but it's not a real small one. It was about half size.
Well, those guys have teeth.
Oh yeah, but once you go ahead and startle them or so forth, one of their defensive things is they pass out or go into playing possum, so to speak. So I said, what do you do with this thing now? And of course, I don't want the dog to eat it up or anything like that. I can't just put it out in the backyard because it'll walk back on in, because we leave the bedroom door open all the time, or the French door's going outside. So anyhow, I picked it up, and as you pick them up by the tail, naturally it's a prehensile tail, and the tail wraps around your hands, and just even though they're pretty much dormant. And so I walked outside, and it was dark enough, I didn't feel, and we weren't really exposed in our backyard, so I walked it on out to the back fence, and I forgot I'd put a motion sensor light out there. So I'm standing at the back fence, ready to put the possum outside the fence, and the motion detector light comes on, and I'm standing there, stone naked, with a possum on the end of my arm, and the light on, and standing there at the alleyway. Fortunately, there wasn't anybody in the alley at the moment, I think.
Could your neighbors see it from their houses? You think? I mean, is it possible?
If they would have been outside and in the yard at that time, they probably would have seen it. But anyhow, I put the possum down on the outside the fence, and I gave the neighbors, so to speak, a show. But yeah, we put in the hot tub and the deck, and then it had a kind of a sunroom that they built on after the house had been built. It was built back in the 40s, but they had added a unpermitted sunroom back there. So anyhow, we thought it would be nice to have a deck up on top of the sunroom, because it was a flat roof and so forth. So I went ahead and brought all the stuff up to code and got some permits and put the deck up there. We put a spiral staircase in so that you could go on up onto the deck. And
from outside?
yeah, just outside the back door,
Mm-hmm.
and turned the sunroom into just a patio. I took the walls out there, but the deck was great. You could see the fireworks to the Oceanside Pier. You look right down Wisconsin Street you could, on the days with high surf, you could even see the surf from back there. But we were probably a quarter mile or more from the surf at that point. But that was about it. We went ahead and did re-roofed the place, and I changed the front, built the stack walls, and built the front yard up level, and turned around and painted the house. Naturally, we were there 20 years, so
Yeah.
it was the whole deal.
It's a good investment.
Yeah, it was. It turned out real good because it was beach property, or at least ocean view, and it was in a part of town that had a lot of room to grow, so to speak. We were just at the edge of where the barrio started, and naturally, as the affluence more and more was pushing into the barrio, because that's where the up-and-coming people could afford to buy. And each time somebody bought and upgraded a little bit, the place got better and better. So we turned out it was really quite advantageous, and we loved that little house. It was wide open, unfortunately, leaving the sliding glass doors and open to the outside all the time, and most of the time in the evening and that type. We always had birds in the house. Linda had a hawk come in. Hawks would chase the sparrows and so forth,
Birds,
the smaller birds, and a couple of times they'd chase them into the house. They'd fly in under the patio and through into the open sliding door. Anyhow, here's this. She had a collection of ceramic figures and plates and so forth on the overhead valances, the window valances and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And here this hawk is up there and flapping its wings and trying to figure out how the hell to get down. So she's home by herself, so I'm not helping her at all. And she finally gets it over in one spot where it pretty much in a corner, and she don't know whether to, if going after it, who to try to save, the dishes, the collectibles that she's got up on the valances, or the hawk. So she, as he worked over into the corner, apparently he hopped up on one of the collectibles, and it came down, and he came down. They was flopping and carrying on, and as Linda said, she didn't even think about it. She grabbed him, talons and all, and pitched him out the back door. So we always had hummingbird. I bet we had hummingbirds in there a dozen times. We got so that we got real good at about getting them out, because hummingbirds, once they get against the light ceiling, they don't want to drop down to go out a door, because they're figure that they're safer up high, so they stay right against the ceiling. So we had a little deal. We'd just go in there and get a sheet or a white towel and pin it to the ceiling, and then pin the other side just to the bottom of the door. And he'd go out and he'd follow the towel or the sheet down.
Kind of like a slide.
Kind of like an inverted slide, exactly. But
oh, Gerry, you've always been so inventive about figuring out how to make things easier for everything. Tell me, well, we probably ought to quit and start a new one.